Hello, my name is DC. I'll be giving a match analysis for the match between England and Senegal. I was supposed to do this earlier, but unfortunately, the video that I had chosen that I would use, the one posted by England YouTube channel got, I don't know, it's no longer there. So I'm using a different video, and I do have an idea of where most of the goals were scored. So I'll be basing that off that. So I'm also somewhat rushing because I'm also worried that this video might also go away. So yeah, let's get into this as quick as we can. All right, so this was the Senegal goal. No, sorry, this was the England goal that and Senegal conceded simply because he took way too many touches. He had an option here, and he could have just like taken it there, or but he played himself into trouble because he actually moved into the direction of the England players, and then England take it off him, and you can tell that there's a way that someone who has been dispossessed how can I say falls or loses the ball, that you can tell it was either because the ball was taken off them, or because they couldn't control it, or due to other reasons. But the fact that he's in this position tells me to say he miscontrolled it, and then England took advantage of that. Eze quickly takes the ball, and then now here Kane. What he's doing is one of those things that some strikers will be noted for if they are scoring goals, but won't be as obvious if they're not scoring goals. Best example I can give is Weghorst for when he was playing for Manchester United. He would make this type of runs a lot, whereby he runs into like a different direction, maybe in a position where he can't receive the ball properly. But what he's doing is simply creating space, because as Kane runs this side, Koulibaly has to keep in mind that Kane is going to be running this side. Because if Kane went this side, Koulibaly probably would have followed, and and he would have probably, this guy here would have probably been there to help negate that. But since he's running the opposite side, Koulibaly, yes, he keeps it in mind Kane is going there, and then he also has to keep in mind this big space. So that's what some players are known. That's what some strikers are known for doing. You will be heavily, how can I say this? Publicized, or people will make major notice when these things happen if you're scoring a lot of goals. But if you don't score a lot of goals, it becomes a problem because people will say he doesn't score. But they create some strikers that do this, just running, taking a defender with them, or just causing a bit of confusion, making the defender to think. Even like whereby, oh wait, Kane is right there, but after yeah, when you make a defender start doing that, trust me, it's very valuable. Some strikers, trust me, those that score goals will always be praised for this. But if you're not scoring goals, people don't really, Otherwise, let's move on. And don't forget that this is off a dispossession, or transition. So it means Senegal won't be in a proper position to properly defend this. I feel Koulibaly does go down a bit too easily, and then Anthony Gordon here. I do feel we can do better, but Kane all alone, unmarked, can't really say much because of the transition. People are not where they're supposed to be, and he scores because of that. Yeah. And Mendy was actually great in this game too. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that Kane was right there. Poacher's goal. That's Harry Kane. Okay, so I want to go over and check for the next. Yeah, it happened somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere here. Not exactly. All right, internet speed is increasing slightly. I think this is probably the chance where England score. So, high line. How do we tell it's a high line? How far are you away from your 18-yard box? And then you have Eze. Okay, I do feel pressure is needed because I don't know what was up, because they were just letting sit. When I was watching this game, there were so many long balls Senegal were able to play because there was no pressure. And then if you're going to play like this, you might as well drop back a few yards so that you try and cut out that space for people to run in behind you. No pressure on the ball, lots of space. Let's see. No pressure plus space in behind equals problems, or need for speed hot pursuit. Just kidding. Let's get back to this. one long ball causes all these problems. And at this point here, you are supposed to follow or just be within, just nearby, because you, as a defender, you might trust your teammates, but you always want to be in a position, yeah, whereby you're able to help them out in case things go bad. Carl Walker trusts his teammate, but doesn't want to be sure. Because this is actually, it's a simple goal if you look at it. I think it's Jackson. And this is another thing about Jackson. Yes, he might miss a lot of chances, but his hold-up play is actually quite good. And then he's also good at linking up with his teammates, because here he does, I think he does see him, but he just keeps the ball in because he knows there'll be someone there. Other players would have tried to make a miracle goal by trying to put it in the back of the net. I don't know how, but there are just some people that believe they're capable of that. And Kyle Walker, he was not sure, and then now it's one of those things he wishes he was there a bit quicker, because Ismail Assar is quick. Not only is he quick, but he's strong, gets in front of Walker, boom. And then here, if we take it back a bit, as the ball is in the air, okay, I understand the goalkeeper, there's nothing he can do. But I think he would have at least just run for the sake of running. Because one thing I've noticed about Henderson, he loves to stay on his line. Because he made the... I'm not trying to blame the goalkeeper, because, it's one of those things. If Kyle Walker defended better, this wouldn't have happened. But he could have rushed out, just for the sake of it. Just for the sake of, closing the angle, making the striker hesitate, or, put those type of ideas. But he stands on the line, and I do feel that gives the striker all the time in the world. Not only the time, but the space to pick his... Yeah. That's what happens there. That's good. That's a really good finish. All because Kyle Walker decided not to be sure, and this is not Kyle Walker from 2018. This is Kyle Walker from 2025, meaning that he's lost a good amount of space and a good amount of pace, and then he's lost a good amount of pace, and then he's been one of those that relies on his pace heavily. It's one of those things, you always say there are some players that rely on pace, and whenever this word is used, usually associated with an attacker, like a person that scores goals. It could be a winger, could be a striker, could be a midfielder, but this can also be used for defenders. For example, Araujo is also another one that relies on his pace heavily, because that's when they rely on it, because sometimes they may not be able to read the game very well. And I think this is also because Kyle Walker plays for Manchester City. Yes, I'm making... Yeah, it sounds weird, but it's one of those things whereby he's in a team that doesn't necessarily defend. They hold possession, because the amount of attacking situations or situations that Manchester City have to defend is very rare, because most teams would prefer not to constantly attack Manchester City. So it's one of those... he's not usually found in those situations, and in most situations his pace can be there, compared to someone like Wan-Bissaka when he was at Manchester United or West Ham, because everyone at that point had so much confidence to attack Manchester United, such that you had to be sharp. Even Maguire, I remember 2022, he had that, a bit of a horror season, but because he's always in those situations, I'm sure it made him better. So that could be a factor, but he should have done better. And I don't know why he's starting, because he was removed from the Man City squad, and that does tell you something. It really does. Alright, let's just... Alright, so it's not here, so it's probably somewhere here. The Senegalese people are happy. Okay, network. And here, this is one of those situations where... Oh, sorry. At this point, Curtis Jones... Curtis Jones... I don't know his name, but England made about 3 subs, and then they did combine at this particular point. And then one thing I'm going to have to... I really did enjoy Eze because he's so good at holding up the ball. But here, Curtis Jones is just subbed on. You have 1-2 here, and then you have him here. Koulibaly has given Curtis Jones the space to play that pass. He could have just simply slid it in through, so that he gets a run on that ball, and then he can probably cut it in there. Instead, he decides to do this. Yeah, I mean, that's just a waste of a chance. It really is. And one thing I did find about this game is that England. Yeah. One thing I did find about this game is that most of England's best chances were when, how can I say this? They were trying to play through the center of the pitch. This is a very bad drawing. Not drawn to scale. Oh, that is a terrible drawing. So yeah, this is a terrible drawing, but it's just for illustration purposes. Because one thing I did notice about this game, Anthony Gordon was here, then Saka was here. Whenever they try to play in, Gordon or Saka, it's one of those they were expecting these two players to take on 2 to 3 Senegalese players. If you do have it's the ability, it's good, but we do know that it's not something you should be expecting because you'd rather the team play as a team and find the way. But it was really ineffective. It was when England played the ball closer. Eze was here, Saka was here, maybe Gordon. You had Curtis Jones, you had Gallagher, you had all these other players. When they were playing the ball around this area, that's where they were making most of their positive attacks or chances that at least led to a sight on goal or a shot on goal. So and I think it also pairs up with I think it also pairs up with even the way Thomas Tuchel used to play. Because just imagine if you had Rhys James bombing down when he was in his prime, or just another right back and also another left back, where you have people in the center here making those plays, and then you had someone on the right here. Because Rhys James scored a lot of goals like this under Tuchel when Tuchel was at Chelsea, or just it's better because they always try to have a player here on the far side. It doesn't really work out, and I think that's what it was obvious when I was watching this game. Very much obvious. Alright, so once again, no pressure on the ball, space in behind, and this time there's even more space because if you count 1, 2, by 1, 2, I mean these markers of the ground, they're only 1, 2. That's how close they are to the center of the pitch, and they've left all that space, no pressure, not even in a position to try and stop the counter, especially with this gigantic gap here. That's a very, 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 very big gap. It is super huge. You could park a double-decker bus in there. Then I think it would have been better if they just decided to, just be very compact rather than this. Because he's on that far side, he's there. Which, yeah, but I don't feel as if they're in a proper defense. I think everyone should have just dropped deeper rather than trying to do this. Because I'd rather they stay somewhere near here so that they're able to be in front of the defender, or when he's about to make that, motion where he's about to kick the ball or chip it, he's there to try and, change his mind. But unfortunately, they did none of this, and this person here is very much on side. He is worried about that. Should be more worried about this. Anyway, let's play it through. And also this, a player running in behind because he has identified the space. And this was such a weird goal to see because like he had so much time. So much time, so much time. And there's not much Henderson can do because he's a keeper that would definitely stay on his post. Or not, especially in this game because I don't watch him. But in this game, he was mainly sticking by the goal / the line, didn't want to come out, and Senegal score again. 2. Really, really great. Every Senegalese player was so happy, including the fans. But it also, if you haven't, okay, this is for people that haven't watched the match, or if you haven't watched the match and you look at highlights, if you look at the type of goal, if it's one of those, if you look at the chances or goals that were either scored or created, it tells you about how the match was because these goals that are scored from Senegal, it's both goals, long ball, because of high line, no pressure, space in behind, and that type of formula. And it's actually a very simple goal. I mean, there's so much space, and then Chalobah slips. I don't know why I do. I don't know why this one. He slips. I don't know what happens there. England fans were very unhappy because I remember when I was watching this game, England fans were so unhappy. Mendy had a very good game. Let me just, for this, it's a really good save. It's a really good save. Because here, yeah, here, Gibbs White should have scored, but Eze again, he was really great in this game. It's just unfortunate that he didn't score, but his hold up play was good, and also the flicks he was doing. Here, once again, whereby they are using, how can I say this? When the England players were in this part of the pitch, that's when they're creating most of their better chances. But whenever they try to isolate a winger, either whether through Bukayo Saka or Anthony Gordon, things were just not going well for them. But it's here where they created most of their chances, whereby they were able to play 1-2s and then go through on goal. That's where they made their better chances. But this year, if you have noticed, very big space, very big space. But unfortunately, it's not exploited, because I do feel if Eze had continued running, he would have been here, somewhere here, in a very much better position to shoot. But yeah, and this is a good shot. Oh, sorry, yeah, that's a good shot. So close. I actually thought it hit the post when I was watching this, but no, it was a very good save from Mendy. Very, very good save. All right, another counter attack. Boom. Yeah. I wanna go to the disallowed goal for England. Yeah, I think it's somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere here. And then Bellingham, I don't know how he does this, but he's always in a position to shoot and score. I don't know how. But I think it's just one of his traits. He's like a fox in the box. Like, he is always in a position. A lot of people say that tap ins, but if you're always in that position to take that shot or score that tap in, trust me, that is very intentional. You cannot be that lucky. He's always, and it just happens whenever he's in. I just don't know. He just has that in him. He scored a really nice goal. And at this point, England were happy, and they were. And I think this is somewhat, in a way, VAR being used. It's just that the definition of the handball, or where the ball strikes your hand, it's not really conclusive. Because sometimes they'll say they follow the line of this shirt here. So like Bellingham shirt right here, they say the sleeve is where, so like this they consider the shoulder, and then here is the hand. That's the demarcation they made, but it's really tricky, because sometimes it's given, sometimes it's not. Inconsistency, so it's very hard to tell. But the way it got disallowed, I wasn't a fan of that, because unfortunately there's no replay here, but it just didn't feel right, because it hit Cowell. Let me just reverse it. Maybe I'll find where it hit him. Let's do that again. Alright, so let's try and look at. Alright, so it's not here. Not here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go all the way back. No, not here. Yeah, so this is Cowell. It hit him somewhere there. It's just that the ball is round. How can I say this? It's round in that, yes, it does. It may, let's say, for example, this is the sleeve, but since the ball is round, this part of the ball will be on the sleeve. This part, I don't know. It's one of those, like, if a ball, it may seem as if it's gone out of, play, but if it's spherical, so even if it's that just 1% of the ball is there, it's considered, like, I don't know how I can apply. I had a way of explaining this, but it's just gone. It's gone. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to remember it. Anyway, yeah, but it's so difficult sometimes, because the ball can sometimes hit you on that region where the sleeve ends and where in that middle line. So it's hard to tell, but I don't think it should have been disallowed, because there was no intention by Cowell to hit it with his arm. Yeah, there was no intention at all. It's one of those, it just hit him. I do feel the decision was harsh. Really was. Very, very harsh. Yeah, it's unfortunate the decision is not here. I mean, it doesn't show the VR decision, but you know what? It's cool. Once again, here, at least here, Walker. Okay, he takes that look and then he speeds up because I'm sure he's learned from the previous that these guys have pace. Because if you look at this here, he looks up, he looks at the ball, Carl Walker there. You know, just for the sake of what's this? For the sake of you know, he looks behind and then he looks again. This is where he actually reads the game properly. He sees there's a lot of he identifies there's a lot of space. He sees a person running in behind, and then look at how he turns on the jets. He runs for that. Boom. He makes sure that he just takes it out of play. That's one of the times whereby Walker reads the game. Now I'm waiting for this third goal. Now here. At this point, you are in a lose-lose situation, but you can't decrease the lose-lose situation. Whereby so what could possibly happen here is that Walker could, at this point, for every step he takes, he gets closer and closer. So 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, yeah, like that. He can do that. He can do it like that. But instead, he just stays in the middle, which even when I'm defending, I've noticed doesn't usually end well. Because usually the ball just gets past you. It's either in between your legs, slightly in behind you, slightly ahead of you. What you want to do is make a decision. Do you decide to stick with the runner or do you go with the ball? You're better off making that decision because when you're in the middle like this, trust me, I don't know how it just never goes well. It never goes in your favor. Because here, I think at this point he's trying to go for the ball, but at this point it's too late because he could have done that earlier, and yeah, he could have done this earlier. At this point, they're too close. It's just too close to go for anything to happen. If he did this earlier, maybe things would have been different, but he actually even gives him, because what he's done here, he's also giving him a lane for the pass. Because he knows he just has to pass it in between, even just behind you. That's all he has to do. Lovely ball played in. And yeah, England defeated. Goal. And I actually thought this was Sunday. I actually thought this was Sadio Mane when he was on the bench. I was like, Sadio Mane looks different, but it wasn't. I think it's Sabali. Yeah, Sabali. Yeah, so that's that's the match, and it's funny, but it does show the problems England have, and a lot of mistake that English media or even the manager slash fans are making is assuming that this is just a friendly. Because trust me, in an international football, you do not have a lot of matches. Because let's say, because for club football, let's say Premier League, you have 38 games in the league. If you do well in the FA Cup, you could have 4, maybe 3. Carabao Cup, maybe 3. Champions League, if you're in a group, not even Champions League, but just in Europe, if you're in that competition. So these are official games if you're in a Premier League club, Big Six, in the Premier League. Not really, but this is the idea that I'm sure you get almost about 40 games. So if you want, you can lose those friendlies that you play in preseason. But in international football, it is because it's just that there are a lot more international breaks. But if you're in a major tournament, if you reach the final, that is 7 games. That's if you reach the final. That's if 7 games. And then, if you get knocked out, you only play 3. You only play 3 games. And then, another European competition, England, it's the Euros. Same format. So, once again, 7 games. And then we forget that the space in between these two, the World Cup is every 4 years. The Euro is also every 4 years. So 14 competitive matches in like 8 years. 14, and that's if you are in the final. So it's very important to take these friendlies seriously. That's what I'm gonna say. And also the squad selection for England, yeah, so many things, so many things. Otherwise, kudos to Senegal, the first African team to beat England in a football match. Kudos to the Senegalese players. Very good, especially the manager did very well. Yeah, otherwise, Viva Africa, Viva Africa. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.